Hello and welcome to today's episode. Please like and subscribe to stay informed. Jacob Zuma is a South African politician who served as the President of South Africa from 2009 to 2018. His life and career have been marked by a mix of political resilience, populist appeal, and deep controversy, particularly around corruption and governance. He was born on April 12, 1942, in Gandla, KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. He had little formal education and was self-taught in many areas. He is known for his polygamy, and he has had at least 6 wives and over 20 children. He often presents himself as a man of the people and retains support in parts of South Africa, especially KwaZulu-Natal. He has a lengthy political career, joining the African National Congress, ANC, at age 17 and later became involved in the armed struggle against apartheid through Umkhonto we Sizwe, the ANC's military wing. During apartheid, he was arrested in 1963 and spent 10 years on Robben Island, alongside Nelson Mandela. After his release, he rose through the ranks of the ANC in exile. In the post-apartheid era, he held senior government roles, including Deputy President, 1999 to 2005, under Thabo Mbeki, and eventually becoming the President of South Africa. He became ANC President in 2007, taking over from then-President Thabo Mbeki, and was elected President of South Africa in 2009, re-elected in 2014. He resigned under pressure in February 2018, succeeded by Cyril Ramaphosa. He is currently in league with the MK party, after having joined in late 2023, while later becoming the party's president in 2024. He was also the first post-apartheid president to be jailed, albeit briefly, after defying the courts due to the Zondo Commission's findings. His presidency was highly controversial, but it wasn't without notable achievements. While much of his legacy is overshadowed by scandal, he did oversee several developments in infrastructure, healthcare, education, and foreign policy. He expanded access to education by improving basic education access. He announced free higher education for poor and working-class students starting in 2018. Although rushed and criticized for its timing, right before the ANC elective conference, the policy was a big win for the #Fees Must Fall movement. Enrollment in basic education continued to grow, and the government increased the number of no-fee schools. His office pushed for big investments in energy, transport, and housing through the National Infrastructure Plan, which aimed to stimulate job creation, economic growth, and infrastructure development. Gautrain and Transnet upgrades helped improve public transport and logistics. Majuba and Kusile power stations, though plagued by delays and costs, were started or advanced under his presidency. A major shift in HIV/AIDS policy occurred during his term. After Mbeki's denialism era, Zuma's presidency oversaw a massive antiretroviral treatment rollout, making South Africa become the home to the world's largest ARV program, significantly reducing AIDS-related deaths and new infections. Improving international relations after South Africa joined the BRICS group, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, in 2010, enhancing its global diplomatic profile. He promoted cooperation and deepened economic ties with other countries. Under Zuma, the social grant system grew, supporting over 17 million people by the end of his term. His administration continued to expand social welfare programs, especially child grants and pensions. This helped reduce absolute poverty, even though unemployment remained high. The expanded Public Works Program, EPWP, created short-term jobs, especially in rural and underdeveloped areas in order to battle the growing unemployment crisis. It also helped soften the blow of the global economic crisis of 2008 to 2009. Although now a highly debatable topic, Zuma's administration intensified discussions around land redistribution, without compensation, laying groundwork for debates that would continue under Ramaphosa. While these achievements were real, Many were undermined by mismanagement, corruption, or lack of long-term sustainability. Still, they mattered to millions of South Africans, especially the poor and rural citizens. A controversial figure before and after his presidency, many of the scandals and controversies are still being investigated or litigated today. These issues had a huge impact on public trust, economic stability, and South Africa's democratic institutions. He faces multiple charges of corruption, fraud, racketeering, and money laundering. The most famous is the arms deal scandal involving a 1999 arms procurement deal. He was implicated in accepting bribes through his then financial advisor, Shaba Sheikh, who was convicted in 2005. All his charges were dropped in 2009, just before he became president. The case was later reinstated. As of 2025, it is still ongoing, and he is fighting to have it dropped. Another major talking point is the Nkandla scandal, also known as the Firepools scandal. Accused of using over 246 million in public funds for upgrades to his private residence. The upgrades included a swimming pool, dubbed a firepool, amphitheater, and cattle kraal, none of which were considered security-related. In 2016, the Constitutional Court ruled that Zuma had violated the Constitution by not paying for the non-security upgrades and for ignoring the Public Protector's report. He was ordered to repay a portion of the money. One cannot speak about Jacob Zuma and not mention the word state capture, Guptagate or Nenegate. In 2013, he was accused of allowing the Gupta family, wealthy businessman of Indian origin, to land a private jet carrying guests of family wedding at Waterkloof Air Force Base, a national key point. The incident raised huge concerns about the Gupta's access to state resources. A public outcry followed, with denials and finger-pointing across government departments. The Guptas allegedly had direct access to government contracts, and even influenced who would become ministers, so-called Guptagate. This led to the term state capture, a phrase now infamous in South African politics. Zuma was known for frequent, erratic cabinet reshuffles, especially in key positions like finance. In December 2015, he abruptly fired respected finance minister Nhlanhla Nenegate, causing the rand to crash and wiping billions off the market. He appointed the little-known Dave van Rooyen, who was soon replaced under pressure with Pravin Gordhan. These moves were widely seen as attempts to gain control over the treasury for corrupt purposes. The Zondo Commission of Inquiry was established in 2018 to investigate state capture. In 2021, Zuma refused to testify and was jailed for contempt of court, triggering deadly riots. A little spoken about political novella was known as the spy tapes. The spy tape saga is one of the most pivotal and drawn-out legal dramas in Jacob Zuma's career, and a key reason he became president in 2009, despite serious corruption allegations. It involves political intrigue, secret recordings, and a long legal battle that's still reverberating through South African politics. The tapes, which were allegedly leaked by intelligence services, are recordings of phone conversations between officials in the National Prosecuting Authority, NPA, particularly Leonard McCarthy, who was then head of the now-defunct Scorpions, an elite anti-corruption unit. In terms of its contents, the conversations on the tapes suggested that McCarthy and others were discussing the timing of when to charge Zuma with corruption in relation to the arms deal scandal. The tapes seemed to show that the prosecution may have been politically motivated, or at least manipulated to influence the ANC's internal power struggle, particularly during the lead-up to the 2007 ANC Polokwane conference, where Zuma unseated Thabo Mbeki as ANC president. In April 2009, just weeks before Zuma was elected president, the NPA, under acting head Mokhati Dinch, dropped all 783 corruption charges against Zuma. The NPA said the tapes showed that there was abuse of process and that a fair trial would be impossible due to political interference, and this decision cleared Zuma's path to the presidency. The Democratic Alliance, DA, fought for years to gain access to the tapes and challenged the dropping of charges, and in 2014, after a lengthy court battle, the DA won the right to access the spy tapes. In 2016, the High Court ruled that the decision to drop the charges was irrational and should be set aside. The NPA, under pressure, reinstated the charges in 2018. The spy tapes were used as the key justification for dropping serious corruption charges. Critics say Zuma weaponized intelligence leaks to escape justice. The case reflects deep politicization of state institutions under Zuma's influence, whilst also sparking a crisis of credibility for the NPA, which has been trying to rebuild ever since. As of 2025, Zuma faces 783 charges of corruption, fraud, and money laundering tied to the arms deal. The legal process is ongoing, with frequent delays, health claims, and political arguments. These scandals contributed to massive public protests, like #Zuma must fall, causing investor distrust and the ANC losing support in elections, which lead to his eventual forced resignation in 2018 under pressure from the ANC and public. Zuma's presidency is viewed by many as a turning point in post-apartheid South African politics, due to increased corruption and weakening of institutions. Under Zuma, many institutions like the National Prosecuting Authority, NPA, South African Revenue Service, SARS, and state-owned enterprises, SOEs, were weakened by corruption and political interference. The phenomenon known as state capture flourished during his time. Zuma's presidency saw sluggish growth, rising debt, and declining investor confidence. Frequent finance minister reshuffles shook markets and caused billions in capital flight. SOEs like Eskom, ZAR, and Transnet were hollowed out by mismanagement and corruption. Zuma's rise to power in 2007 splintered the ANC into rival factions. He promoted loyalists to key positions, leading to a cadre deployment culture that prioritized political loyalty over competence. Internal ANC wars, often centered around corruption and control of state resources, have continued long after his presidency. Jacob Zuma's legacy in South Africa is deeply polarizing, a complex blend of populist appeal, institutional damage, socio-economic efforts, and unresolved legal drama. Whether seen as a people's champion or a symbol of systemic corruption, he left a mark that's still shaping South African politics today. To his supporters, he is a man of the people, a traditionalist, victim of elite conspiracies, and a leader who gave the poor a voice. To his critics, he's a master manipulator who undermined the state, enabled looting, and left the country weaker than he found it.